listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Steven Scott and Shaun Priest.
Oh, hello, Shaun Priest. How are you this fine... Hang on, was it Tuesday we on? Yeah, Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday. I appreciated the rolled R's there, Steven Scott in Priest. Well done, thank you. I'm well, how are you? Well done. How are you?
I'm all right. I must admit, I didn't sleep too great last night, but that's because I was up in the office all night playing with my toys, because I just love my office again. It's great. I'm having all these toys I can play.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're happy about it. I must say, you know, when we spend hours making sure it all works correctly, and then we come back the next morning and everything's broken because you've been playing with your toys all night, I'm loving it too, Steven Scott.
I've got to be honest, I'm getting a tone from you today, Priest.
Yes, I'm not surprised.
What's wrong with you? Did you not sleep well last night? What's going on?
No, I didn't sleep. At 3:24 a.m. last night, I was well asleep, obviously, right? I was loving it. And then all of a sudden, I was woken by a critter scuttering up the side of my house. No, not that usual one. No, not the furry, lovely one. No, not that.
Or the other one.
It was
Cookie!
No, not a Muppet. You know what? It was just claws and just very fast, and it was so loud, climbing up the side of my house and then scuttering across the roof above my head. And I've got to say, for the first time in years, I jumped out of that bed and I did a little scream, Steven Scott. I'm not ashamed of it.
Help me.
Yes, well, I was one step away from being Penelope Pitstop. Please, someone help me. But it's like, is that in my room or is that outside? You know, it's so tough. One of the downsides of blindness.
One of them?
There's not many, but just one of them is like, okay, what is that and where is it? I banged on the ceiling and it scuttered away again. So I'm assuming it was just outside and on the roof. But yeah, terrifying. And it's one of those times where it's like, can I call Be My Eyes and just say, please just stay with me. Just hold me.
Be my friend.
I'm scared.
There's an idea for Mike Buckley. Be my friend. Stay with me overnight. Wow.
I didn't go back to bed. But no, we're all good. Everything's fine.
Okay, good. Well, I hope you... look, I've told you before, Shaun, the answer is coffee. The answer is always coffee. More and more and more. I'm only in my first coffee today, I must admit. I could do with a second one, so maybe I'll catch one a bit later because we've got a really interesting chat today coming up. Greg Hargraves is joining us from Paige Connect. We actually caught up with Greg a little bit earlier last week, I think it was, and it was interesting because he's developed this cool idea to make Perkins braillers smart.
It's so cool. It is.
You heard me right.
Yes. It's amazing. I was blown away by this.
Yes, we're going to be talking to him about his invention. It's going to be on show at Site Village in London next week. Shaun and I are going to be there. We're going to be, yes, we're going to be at Site Village in London. Not on display like some artifact. Although, I mean, that will probably be the case as well. But we will be there. We're going to be wandering around, saying hello to people, but also talking to companies and finding out all about the latest and what's going on. Because there's a lot of interesting companies going to be there. Glidance is going to be in attendance at Site Village London next week, so that is going to be cool. WeWalk guys are going to be there. Also got confirmed that Inside One, the French company that have developed this Windows computer, which is inside almost like a Mantis Q40.
Yes.
With the Braille display and the keyboard. They are going to be there as well. So lots of interesting tech and lots of stuff I can't wait to get hands on with. The question is, will my credit card survive the trip? That's the big question.
I've got to try the Glide. There's going to be a queue.
That's the one we're interested in. But look, let's kick things off.
Breaking news.
Got to start with the big breaking news today. That is brand new iMac has been released. Well,
yes,
coming soon.
Apple announcements.
Yeah.
Oh,
coming
is it
soon.
Not available now?
Pre-order as of the moment. It will be available from November 8th. But yeah, the new iMac is out with M4 chips inside. This is not a surprise. We knew this was coming. This is the first announcement of 3 that Apple have got this week. Yesterday, they were focusing on the iMac. We'll see what they bring out today. Of course, by the time we record this and it airs, we'll likely know what the next announcement is. It's a bit of a game at the minute of what are they going to release? Will it be the MacBook Pro or the Mac Mini? Because these are the rumoured next 2 that we're going to be hearing about. So we'll find out which one it is and maybe something else. Shall we talk about specifications? Because, of course, that's the thing everyone's really interested in when it comes to Yeah, these new devices. So, of course, iMac is the 24-inch screen with, of course, the speakers, the camera built in. Everything's just all in one, basically. It is a beautiful computer, as you might say. It is fantastic, although there are some reasons why it's not for me. I'll get to that. But M4 chip comes with an 8-core or 10-core CPU and GPU option, which is kind of standard now. Starts with the 8-core version. The performance, I have to say, just on the specs from Apple themselves, they say this is 1.7 times faster for productivity tasks and up to 2.1 times faster for demanding workflows than the iMac with M1.
Yeah, that's quite surprising, right? I look, this is so stupid to say, but I'm going to say it. Why is it not 4 times faster?
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Yeah, but that's not how it works, as we know. You know, incremental performance gains from generation to generation. So I can sort of understand it. It's just I'm surprised Apple came out and said that. I thought they would.
Yeah, that sounds like something a reviewer might come out and find. You know, that it wouldn't be Apple. It would necessarily. In fact, you know, it would be appropriate for Apple to come out with what they usually do, which is come out with a graph with nothing on it.
With no comparison.
Yeah,
data
just like no idea what on earth is. Just a big line going up
but
the way.
To be fair, I mean, the argument could be that the M1, as we say constantly, is still a fantastic processor.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, the M1 is great. And, you know, it's interesting because they talk here about the neural engine inside, which is really the driver for artificial intelligence, or Apple intelligence, as they'll call it. And the neural engine inside the new M4 iMac that's coming out is going to be over 3 times faster than the M1 version, which we would expect. And they say that will enhance the AI-driven Apple intelligence features. There was an announcement video put out. Let's watch a little bit of a clip to give us a sense of what else is new in this this particular model, this iMac 24-inch, which is out with the M4 chip.
Today, we're excited to give iMac another big update. And here it is. The new iMac features a fresh new set of beautiful colors. It has even more performance. And with Apple Intelligence, it's the world's best all-in-one for AI.
Today, we're excited to bring the M4 chip to iMac, giving you even more performance to fly through everything you do. M4 has a super fast CPU with 4 performance cores and 6 efficiency cores, making the new iMac up to 1.7 times faster than iMac with M1. So multitasking across apps like Safari and Excel is lightning fast. M4 also has an immensely powerful GPU with our most advanced graphics architecture, which makes it up to 2 times faster than iMac with M1. So gameplay is incredibly smooth on titles like the upcoming and highly anticipated Civilization VII. M4 also includes a far more powerful neural engine, which is now over 3 times faster than on M1. With M4, iMac is built for Apple Intelligence in OS Sequoia, accelerating the pace at which you can get things done. Like in Mail, when there's a flurry of new messages on a thread, you can get a summary of the back and forth in a snap. And we all know what it's like to dig through a library of tens of thousands of photos to find just the right ones. Thanks to Apple Intelligence, you can just describe what you're looking for, like Bandit wearing his costumes, and you found them in a matter of seconds.
So that's some of the headlines, really. The screen is another headline, actually, because they have a new nano texture glass option for reduced reflections. Now, this is something which I must admit did dog the original iMac. It had horrible reflections on it, and if you really had to place it pretty much in a dark room, not to get any light on it at all. And that, of course, could have a big impact. Now, I saw someone last night when I mentioned this on Mastodon, people saying, this isn't really an announcement for blind people. I guess if you're looking for something for low vision people, this might be one good thing about this. I'm going to take a wild guess and say it's probably going to cost more.
Yeah, this is an option. This isn't standard, right? The nano anti-glare. This is an optional extra. So, yeah, I'm not really impressed by this, to be honest. It depends. But the glare is important. You know, low vision users, the iMac is something that people like.
Well, I remember when I years ago when I used to buy Dell monitors, I'd always go for the matte option. In fact, that was one of the benefits of Dell. They used to have the matte screens, which are much easier to use. You can then focus on what you're looking at rather than trying to avoid sunlight. So, yeah, that is going to be useful to people. It's worth mentioning it. But
I'm surprised the screen isn't bigger, though. Still
24
inch.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute because that's kind of part of my issue here. But anyway, There's a couple of issues I've got with this particular.
Okay.
This particular machine. The camera and the audio on board. So you've got a 12 megapixel center stage camera. That is your main camera for FaceTime calls and Zoom and everything else. It's got that center stage functionality, which means it can stay with you as you move around. Which I think that is it's not really an accessibility feature, but I think it's useful because you don't have to worry about being center of the frame.
Okay.
I'm maybe clutching at straws a little bit, but I think it's a good one. No, I think it's a good feature, though. I do like it.
No, I'm with you, but it depends. I mean, how many people are actually walking about when they're making a call like that?
It's not that,
seems like
though.
a good idea.
How many times have I said to you during a call, right, Shaun, you've pretty much disappeared off the screen?
Never.
Happens all the time. So, yeah, this would be
Fair
good for
enough.
you. Also, it has that desk view thing as well, which is actually quite a cool feature. I don't think anyone actually uses it. But basically, with the camera on the device, actually inside the iMac itself, it's able to almost look down at your desk. So if you were wanting to show someone something, do a bit of a presentation, you can actually do that using this feature. It's kind of very impressive. In terms of microphones on board, a studio quality, as they call it, 3 microphone array and a 6 speaker sound system. I will say the sound off the iMac is very good already. And in terms of hardware, nothing much has really changed in the sense of the design, certainly, when it came.
Well, the design was really
iMac.
Nice anyway, right? And
Yeah.
I think the thing that stood out to me is that now it starts at 16 gig memory, 16 gig RAM.
Big difference, yeah.
Which is for Apple is a big deal, and obviously the right move, but still only 256 gig starting SSD, which I think is
Just not enough.
It's not enough.
Minimum's 512, yeah. Minimum 512. It's also got 4 Thunderbolt 4 USB-C ports now. The models with 8 cores, though, have only 2 Thunderbolt USB 4 ports. So I think that's the same as the original. I remember the M1 iMac had a similar kind of design as well. So, just be careful with what you're buying because you need to make sure you know the difference between what each option gives you. But you're right, as you can now start with 16 gig of unified memory, going up to 32 gig. You can configure it as far up as that. The SSD 256 gig standard, but it's configurable up to 2 terabytes, which does increase the price just a little bit.
Yeah, sure it does.
Wi-Fi 6E, not Wi-Fi 7. A few people are not so happy about that. Feels a little bit out of date in some ways, but okay. And Bluetooth 5.3. And weirdly enough, it runs macOS Sequoia, according to my notes. Who'd have thought? Now, also, this is important. I know this will be important to Carrie Morales, who is a regular on our show. Colors: green, yellow, orange, pink, purple, blue, and silver.
Lovely. So excited by that.
Bold colors on the back, subtle shades on the front. They say the pink is actually pink this year. There you go. If that's appealing to you.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're scraping the barrel when we're talking about pink being pink. Okay.
And it comes with the color matched Magic Keyboard and Magic Mouse or Magic Trackpad if you choose, with USB-C.
Oh, yes. So they finally put USB-C in. And where is the charging port on the new Magic Mouse?
On its bum.
It's still on the underneath of the mouse.
Yep.
Why? That is... Ugh. Anyway, okay.
Didn't redesign
but USB-C.
it. Yeah, didn't redesign. Unless, I mean, again, we don't know what's coming out this week. It could be an announcement of a whole new style of mouse. I somehow doubt it. Starting price, $16.99 Canadian. And that's $12.99 US. Same in the UK. The pre-orders start, in fact, started yesterday, and it begins shipping November 8th.
Okay, let me ask you a question. You mentioned there right at the start that there's 2 different SKUs of processor there. There's one with a GPU with 8 cores and one with 10 cores.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Is that the M4 and M4 Pro or not?
No, you only get the M4 in the iMac. For some reason, they will not put the Pro into the iMacs. So you've got basically one processor choice, but with different cores, different amounts of cores, so 8 or 10 cores. Yeah, they haven't put the M4 Pro in there, and that actually is one of the things that irritates me about the iMac, because I feel we're either going to get news at some point of an iMac Pro again, or they're focusing on the Mac Studio and the Mac Pro itself for the but I still feel there would be a bunch of people like me, for example, who very much like the all-in-one with the Pro chip inside. And the example of that, of course, is the Mac Mini, because the Mac Mini does get the Pro chip inside it. It will get the M4 Pro chip. That's been long rumored. It's certainly got the M2 Pro. That's what I'm running right now. And it's a fantastic machine. I would love to go all in one because it would just be so much easier for my workflow just to have one machine here. But I feel I'd be losing power, losing capability moving up to the M4
we don't
iMac.
know, though. We don't know what the specs are on the M4 Pro yet, right? Or do we?
Well, you mean in comparison to the M2 Pro? Or you mean because what I'm looking at right now is the M2 Pro, on my Mac Mini versus the M4 iMac. That's what I'm thinking about. So if I move up from an M2 Pro to an M4, are things going to get better, or am I going to lose out? Is the Pro going to be better? So maybe the Mac Mini is the only choice for me. Certainly from a cost point of view, right? Because I mean, these things are very expensive when you start pushing up the processors. They're
a very nice design. Obviously, I kind of go with not really for me anyway. So why do I care? I'm staying in my own bubble. It's a computer with a screen or a screen with a computer.
That's not a blind argument anymore. No, we've had plenty of blind people who've... Marco, he's been in touch with us in Germany. He got one. He absolutely adores it. Many others have too. It's not...
Okay.
It's about the all-in-one. It's about the all-in-one functionality. Now, I know you could say a laptop is the same. I mean, you could argue a laptop is the same. You know, it is. It comes with a screen as well. So, Shaun, why have you got a laptop? It's got a screen on it. You iced.
I am biased, yes. No, I think you're paying more of a premium for this. I mean, you mentioned the Mac Mini, and you can mention anything else. I think the screen is the biggest selling point on an iMac. It is all about the screen. That's the whole purpose of it, I would argue.
Well,
you mentioned the built-in webcam and having it all in there. I don't think people are buying it for that. People are buying it because it's a very nice screen with a computer built in. And for me, screens don't matter. Okay. I'm not saying, it's out of, no one should use it. As I said, I used magnification for years and years. Okay, right, whatever.
You're too tired to care today. You're just like, whatever, Stephen. Yeah, just say what you like. Okay, well, the other big announcement, which wasn't a big announcement, really. I mean, we kind of knew this was coming because we'd heard about it long enough, but I think this is going to actually be a big day. It may not feel that way, but I think this is going to be a big day for Apple because this is the day, or yesterday was the day, I should say, that they announced and launched properly Apple Intelligence. It's now here.
Apple Intelligence is available today. And with it comes a powerful first set of features, like writing tools. Many of us do so much writing on the Mac. And what makes writing tools such a game changer is that they're available virtually everywhere you type. Whether you're using them to polish a job description in Craft, to punch up a pitch deck in Keynote, or to refine documentation in Bare Notes, writing tools are right there, ready to help you produce your very best work. Another thing that will transform how you work is the redesigned Siri experience. You can now type requests to Siri to accelerate tasks throughout your day. So without jumping between apps or menus, you can send a message to your teammate with a project update, start a timer to get you in the zone, and make sure nothing breaks your focus while you work. And in the next several months, we'll introduce more incredible experiences to Apple Intelligence on Mac. For example, you'll be able to create fun, original images with Image Playground. Along with a dedicated app on Mac, it'll be integrated into apps across the system, including third-party apps like Notability. With Genmoji, you'll be able to create just the right emoji to match any moment in an instant. Plus, Siri will assist you in ways it never could before when it gains the ability to understand information from apps all across your Mac. It'll use it to answer questions that are personal to you, like, where did Sofia say the Castillos live? Or what was that green space project Kai mentioned? And Siri will have the ability to tap into ChatGPT's expertise when it might be helpful to answer your question. Powering all of the amazing features of Apple Intelligence is Apple Silicon, which is designed to deliver incredible performance for AI. So every Mac with an M-series chip can deliver Apple Intelligence to unlock so many ways for you to get more done on Mac. And going forward, we'll bring even more personal intelligence to the apps and experiences that you rely on every day. Apple Intelligence is available now with OS Sequoia as a free software update in US English for most regions around the world. We'll add localized English for these countries in December, and we'll bring Apple Intelligence to many more languages next year.
And some of the countries they are talking about there, of course, is Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the UK, and many others to come. But I think the thing that sticks in my head when I listen to that is more features coming soon. And it just kind of feels, and I know people get annoyed. I see some reporters who get really annoyed with, the real Apple fanboys hate when you say they're behind on this, but they are behind on this, way behind. And, Tim Cook apparently said recently, I can't remember the exact phrase, but it's basically like, we're not first, but we're the best. And I get it. I understand that.
We've been saying that for the longest time. It's a well-known trope about Apple. They take their time and they release it when it's ready. But
things are moving too fast for that now. It's just, everything moves too quickly, don't you think?
Well, yeah, technology moves quickly anyway, and we're seeing it with AI. But again, if you go along with that saying that Apple wait and do it when it's right, then it's fine. But I just feel like, okay, if it's ready now, then release everything. If it's not, then don't. I don't know. I haven't used it, so I don't know if it's up to standard or not. I've got to say, I'm a little bit. Everyone pushing the image, creation and writing tools. How important is that to people? I honestly couldn't care less. I want Siri to do what I want it to do. That's all I'm going to test when I turn this on and try it out. That's all I'm going to be interested in. What can Siri do? Yes, the summary of my emails, the summary of my notifications is going to be cool. But it's all about the voice assistant to me. So we will see. I'm definitely going to try it out, though.
Yeah, okay. Well, we shall see. I'm going to put your snark aside for a minute.
Thank you.
But no, I get it. I do get it. I mean, I feel with the image creation stuff, it's just not of interest to us. But I don't think that means it's not of interest to other people.
Like the iMac. How dare you?
I think they are. Look, are you kidding me? My wife is going to love this feature. She's going to be creating emojis all the time for various things. She does this at her work. She sits there and comes up, they go through all the different emojis to... No, in the Teams chat, they're sitting there constantly coming up with an emoji for this and an emoji for that. If she can create her own, she's going to be having the best time. So, yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people will use this stuff. People love mucking around with all that nonsense, but it's not a visual thing. So for us, yeah, maybe for you and I, it's not going to be... And maybe for others, you can tell us what you think. Goodness me, you're in a mood today. Right, so some voiceover bugs as reported by AppleVis, and we'll put the links to all these links to AppleVis sites. That's what I'm looking for. So first up, issues with dragging and dropping apps into folders in this new 18.1 release. If you've upgraded your iPhone, you might be noticing an issue there. Also, limited accessibility for Apple Intelligence summaries. I think the keyword here is beta, because whenever and I did actually install the Apple Intelligence, I switched everything to US English so I could get access to it. And you can do the same. You don't have to be in the US to get it. And you can just change your system language to English and your Siri language to US English, and it will allow you to install and update Apple Intelligence. It does take an awful long time to get Apple Intelligence to get up and running.
Well, that's because everyone's trying to download it at the minute. Yeah. It's a 300 meg or something. I can't remember how big it is. It's not huge. But, I mean, Apple actually tells you, if you go into the Siri settings and Apple Intelligence is in there, in settings on your iPhone now, you will see Siri and Apple Intelligence. And you go in there, and it actually tells you, hey, if you want to try this, turn on US English in your region. So it's not like we're doing some sort of, dodgy workaround here.
No, it's not back to the VPN and Meta again, no.
No, exactly. That's right. I mean, this is, hey, you want to try it, you need to set everything to US English. By the way, you do that in the Siri settings, but also, I think you're right, Stephen, you've tried this out.
Yeah.
Under general, and is it region and location or something, you need to set that to
You got to change
US
that
English
as well.
as well.
Yeah, not the region, just the language of the device.
Language of the device.
You can leave the region to your country. That's fine, because if you change the region, you affect the App Store and all that. But if you change the language, you're fine. You don't really affect anything. The only thing it does have an impact on is, I think it has an impact on HomePods and getting personal messages. But I don't care, so that's fine.
Yes, it does mention that as well. Yeah.
So yeah, there are a couple of fixes as well for VoiceOver and Braille users. Improvements in Braille display support, focus lag in the Weather app, accessible labeling in the Photos app as well. These things have been resolved. In WatchOS 11.1, which also came out yesterday, Some of the headlines from the notes I've seen on AppleVis, and of course, go check them out for the very latest. The default system volume is now set to 50%, down from 80%, affecting perceived loudness, especially on the Apple Watch Series 10. Voiceover volume rotor behavior, it now adjusts only the voiceover speech, not the overall system volume. And some fixes, improved reading of the vitals complication on the modular watch face. Goodness me, that's very specific. These guys are really on it. And the macOS Sequoia, this is a big one for a lot of us who wanted to try this. iPhone mirroring, the ability to actually use your iPhone on your Mac, totally inaccessible when it came out initially on macOS Sequoia. Slight improvements in 15.1, but some people saying things like trying to get to the back button using VoiceOver is almost impossible yet. So there's a lot of people sort of playing around trying to figure out a way around it at the moment. It does seem there's a lot of work to do to make that feature accessible. So yeah, we'll put the notes up there so you can catch up with all of that. But that is the main announcements today from Apple. We will, of course, have more throughout this week, and we'll be bringing them here on Double Tap. Now, if you want to get involved with the show, lots of you getting in touch with your feedback, especially on WhatsApp. Here's how to do that.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback at doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. Not in any way that I forgot those numbers and didn't want to read them out. And just thought, let's get Rob to do it. No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. But no, listen, thank you for all your emails and feedback. We're going to be doing a couple of special shows just focusing in on all the wonderful emails and voicemails you've been sending in, because there are lots. So we will get to those. But right now, I want to talk about Paige Connect. This is a fantastic new product which has just gone on sale in the UK with hope that it will be available around the world. And I'd like to think after this interview is aired, that more organizations around the world might take notice of this particular product, because basically it makes your Perkins Brailler smart. And we got the chance to catch up with Greg Hargraves from Paige. He is the founder of Paige, to tell us more about it.
So at Paige, we're building a product which is an adaptation for your classic Braille writer. So you can just swap out the base of your Braille writer and it will connect it wirelessly to any phone, tablet, or laptop.
Okay, this is so intriguing. This is just, I don't know, this has got a steampunk feel to it. Maybe it's just because we're talking about the classic Braille writer. When you say that, we're talking Perkins, what most people would know as a Perkins. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, so how does this work?
So normally you've got this old hardboard base with 11 screws. So we'll post you our board and you can just unscrew those 11 screws and screw in our board. And inside we've got little sensors that can pick up all the levers inside, and it acts just like a normal keyboard. So any software that you would do your SDF JKL keys with, it will work with that software instantly. So we can do things like instant translation, gamified learning to try and interactively teach you Braille. So it makes it much easier to sort of collaborate with sighted people who don't know Braille, or for you yourself to learn Braille interactively on any device.
Wow. Okay, so right, let me just get this in my head here then. So we're talking here about a device or making the Perkins smart to some degree, because you're essentially turning it into a digital keyboard rather than just a mechanical keyboard for print onto paper. So you say it came up with any software that uses those keys specifically. Mm-hmm. So you can't use this as a Braille display. That's not what this is, right? It's not going to turn into a Braille keyboard on Microsoft Word, for example.
No. So it will work alongside our web app that we've built, and it'll also work alongside things like UEB Online, Duxbury. APH has some software that works with this as well.
Perky Duck?
Yeah, it should work with that, yeah.
What's with Perky Duck? I love Perky Duck.
My favourite meal.
That was one of my favourite. That's right, yeah. Perky McDuck, I think, is your favourite, isn't it?
Yes.
No, I love this because, that's, I guess what this is about is essentially education, I'm guessing, right? Is that the market you're aiming at?
So originally it actually came out a university project, and so we built this prototype and we put it in front of some TVIs, and they immediately wanted to buy it off of us, this sort of like gammy prototype we'd built in a month. And so we were like, oh wow, this is actually something that's useful. And I think it's because so many people are taught in mainstream schools, and there's so many people who don't know Braille, and they were having to sort of manually transcribe it with a pen, and so they immediately were like biting our arms off to try and get this.
So what's the technology behind it? You mentioned that it's sensing the levers. It's almost
Yeah.
almost like, well, I can't think of anything else like it. I'm trying to think of something I can compare it to,
Yeah.
and I just can't. This is such a cool concept. But how accurate is it?
So we're having to fit to braillers over like 70 years. So all of them have like slight variations. And so the way we've done it is we've got these things called optical switches. So on one side, there's a little light, and on the other side, there's a sensor. And when the lever goes down, it will break that beam of light. And so that's how we're detecting all these levers inside. So it shouldn't wear out mechanically at all. It should be quite robust. And so as long as you're fully depressing the keys and raising them again, it will pick it up reliably. There's some people who are absolute like crazily fast who like mash the keys at like an incredible rate, and so sometimes it might have mispresses, but it should be quite reliable.
I can understand it working for, as you say, interrupting a beam of light for one key, but for multiple key presses, how does it figure that out?
So we do it's classic like kind of chorded braille input. So the way we group the press is this is a bit technical, but it'll be like the first key that goes down and the last key that goes up is how we'll group that press. And so it should reliably group that chorded input.
Okay.
So it can work out the different chords. It can work out all of the different associations, because I guess the software is doing the work on the other end in terms of translation. Because someone did ask me this question, and I have to say, this was not, you'll know right away, this is not a question I would ask. Someone far more intelligent than me asked this, which was about mathematics in Braille. Yeah. And they said, how would it know the difference between one set of chords and the next if it's not got any ability? Would it be able to understand in the context of mathematics, say?
We're getting really technical. So with mathematics, we use, for our translation tool, we use LibLouis, which is an open source Braille translator. So that will have supports for some really basic UEB maths. So it will be able to support basic symbols with our translation tool as it is. We're actually quite interested in adding more support for mathematics. So there's a really interesting open source project called MathCat, which is being driven by one guy, and he's currently working on adding Braille input to MathCat. And so as soon as he adds that, we're really interested in integrating that into our translation tool, so we can offer like more support for UEB maths and as well as Nemeth maths as well.
Oh, now I'm lost, but
that's a different world to me, right?
Impressive.
But it is. So I guess the question is, can it be upgraded that way so that the actual board itself will always do the same job, but it's the software at the other end, which is actually the thing you can manipulate and improve upon?
Very much so. So we're doing everything through our web app, which we make freely available. So even if you don't buy our product, we make all of our software freely available, which is something that's quite important to us. And so we can add stuff continually, and we do. So recently we added quite a fun feature that literally turns your Perkins into like a musical keyboard. So if you've got younger kids who want to sort of like play around with that. And so, we're continually adding more support. And we recently added a whole new thing where we've got a dashboard for our learning content, so you can actually see your progress and create an account, and like your teacher can see how you're progressing through all the activities and things.
Oh, very nice. Never mind kids. I want to play that. I want to play the Perkins.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds amazing. Now, you mentioned this started off as a university project, but what made you even think of this, the retrofitting aspect, rather than, I mean, usually everyone's looking for, the latest and greatest technology, AI or whatever it may be, to come up with a solution to a problem. But what made you go down the route of retrofitting this, as you mentioned, in some cases, 70-year-old tech?
So it's kind of a long story, because originally we did it through a university project, with the brief was sourced from a charity called the Kilimanjaro Blind Trust, who are doing really amazing work in Africa distributing assistive tech. And so they're the ones who initially got our brain sort of ticking on this problem. And initially the project was to produce a low-cost Braille display. And we slaved away at this really difficult project, and we got it quite far. And then at one point we realized that we could snap off all this software that we'd built, click it onto a Perkins, and we would immediately have a product. And so that's when we then showed it to the TVIs, and they were really enthusiastic. And we basically found that people are still learning on the Perkins. Typically, it will be the first device that they'll learn Braille on before they move on to a display. And our whole thing was, how do we do Braille affordably? Because we thought, if you were sat at home wanting to learn Braille, there's so many barriers. It's not just price. It's like you would have to seek out a dedicated TVI to help you. And you've got to have a lot of motivation to sort of even get started. And compare that to like the sighted world, where you can just download Duolingo kind of on a whim for free. and immediately start learning a language for fun. And so we wanted to make it much more like that, where you could actually start Braille for fun. But the problem is it's a tactile medium. You need hardware to be able to actually feel those Braille dots. And so our whole thing was, how can we get Braille cheaply under somebody's fingers and get them learning Braille as affordably as possible? And that's how we kind of gravitated towards retrofitting this device that everyone's already using, or that you can buy secondhand or for free. And yeah, that was our motivation for kind of going down that route.
Well, again, we tend to forget that perspective, don't we? Which is that, you know, around the world, there are people who just can't afford or get access to this technology, but they may have access to something like a Perkins Brailler. And I have to say, that's the same in the West as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think about many schools where I live, and certainly where I was brought up and educated, that, you know, there were plenty of Perkins Braillers available, but that was kind of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, the being able to take that technology, old technology to some degree, and smarten it up to some degree. I'm sure I remember one where you would place it on this base, and it would allow you to print. I'm sure that's right.
Yeah.
I'm sure I remember this from back in the day. And, you know, that we're talking kind of late 80s, early 90s at that point.
Yeah.
And people were already looking to smarten it then.
Yeah, I'm a bit nerdy about this. So if you go on our website, we've actually got a history section where we've tried to find all of these different examples of this. So you're right, that product was the Braille print. So I think that was made by Quantum, distributed by Humanware back in the day, and it used to hook up to dot matrix printers.
Yes,
we've heard they're very loud because you've got the Perkins bashing away, and then the dot matrix printer chugging away as well. I think there was a similar thing with Sensortech in Belgium. They were founded on a product similar. And then there's been little things in the UK. There was one called the Micro Brailler, where they were kind of getting the old BBC micros and hooking them up to them. So there's really amazing projects that have been done in the past, and we've documented them all in our history section of our website.
Why do you think it is that the Perkins has been around for so long?
It's a good question. I mean, if you look at, again, I'm a bit of a weirdo because I dig into all of this stuff. But
welcome to Double Tap.
We love it here. Love it geeking out.
The American Printing House has this amazing library of the old Braille writers, and there used to be way more variety. And I think in Europe there's still a bit more variety in Germany and things. You've got a Slovak company who does the Tartra Point. You've got another company who does one in Germany. Why that one has stood the test of time, I don't know. But it is by far the most used Braille writer. And so yeah, it's been 70 years. So hopefully there will be an update eventually, and maybe we can help out with that. But it's
what? Sorry, carry on.
It's construction, surely, though, isn't it? I mean, the construction alone is a good reason for it to survive. I mean, this thing could survive anything. I feel that, if the asteroid comes and wipes us all out, future generations that emerge from the dust will find Perkins Braillers in fully working order.
Perkins, the only thing that will survive.
Yeah,
it is a tank. Yeah.
That sort of goes on to my next question. I mean, it is a tank. It's quite a heavy piece of equipment. There are moving parts on it. Have you even thought about not retrofitting, but redesigning the Perkins? Is there a better way?
Ooh, that's a good question.
It's something we ponder. So there's actually, obviously, you've got smart writers that are sometimes a bit more pricey. So you've got ones from Harpo and things like that were developed, I think, in the UK originally at RNC. But they're still quite pricey. And our whole thing is affordable Braille for everyone. So we are quite keen to try and at least match the price point and update it, or try and hit a lower price point. There's a really fun project. It is a bit slow and a bit loud, but it's an open source project that people are working on called the Braille Wrap. Which is just like a normal it repurposes a lot of 3D tech. So it's got some motors that move side to side, back and forth like a normal plotter, and then it just bashes the individual dots. So it's a little bit slow. And so if you could kind of strip that down and speed it up, make it a bit quieter, that could be quite a compelling product. So it is something that plays on our mind and that we'd be quite interested to see if we could do.
Yeah, because, as you were talking about this, and you were talking about the fact that you can essentially use these keys on the Perkins as input onto a computer using the web app or Duxbury or whatever else. I was kind of thinking, remember those old pianos that they could play themselves? They would have sort of a paper fed through them that would allow them to sort of play notes. I'm kind of wondering, could you retrofit a Perkins Brailler to be a actually print
An embosser.
Braille as well. Yeah, just become an embosser for you. Is that?
Funnily enough,
Is that possible?
that's been done back in the day. So
really?
I think it was Dean Blasey with the. Oh God, you're really making me like dig up all of my weird research.
Nerd.
I love it.
There was like a Dean Blasey company, I think, called the Maryland Computer Company, I think, and they literally did exactly that: bash away on the keys at the front and basically try and repurpose it into an embosser. I think they found that it would wear out when you're trying to sort of like constantly mash the keys, trying to turn it into an embosser. So yeah, we're trying to sort of go back to ground zero and see whether, with the tech we have in 2024, whether we can reinvent this sort of 70-year-old machine.
And
that's incredible.
It is, yeah. I mean, just looking at this technology again with a fresh perspective on it. I mean, who knows where you could go with this? And on that, so with this current Paige Braille base plate, is this supported for smartphones as well, or is this purely for desktop computers?
It will be everything. Because we make it just perform like any other keyboard, you can connect it to literally anything. And that was quite important to us because we knew that with a lot of assistive tech, not only are you spending a lot of money, you're then having to put the effort in to learn how to use it, which again isn't a feature of a lot of mainstream tech. You normally can just sort of pick them up and they're quite intuitive. So we wanted to just make it into a normal Bluetooth keyboard. You can connect it to any phone, any tablet, any laptop, and you can use the screen reader you're already comfortable with our web app. We don't want you to have to learn how to use a whole new device. We don't want TVIs in schools having to support the technology because it's kind of buggy or weird. We just wanted to go as basic and robust as we could.
So let me ask you this, because I think there's a lot of our listeners especially who might be thinking, okay, so I've got a Perkins Brailler at home. Like me, for example. Let's just use me as an example because I'm probably exactly this person. In fact, I am. Let's just say. So I want to take my Perkins Brailler, I want to smarten it up a little bit, and I want to use it as an input method for my computer so that I could perhaps write some notes or, write an address or take a phone number down, that kind of thing. Just maybe basic things I could do with it, just have it off to the side and use it in that way. Is that a good use case for it? Is that another way I could use it? Does that make sense is what I'm asking?
Yeah, I mean, definitely could. So the way it works is you would open up our web app and you would start embossing and you would get that hard copy version, and also your screen reader would be speaking the words to you as you're embossing them. So you can make sure that you're embossing everything correctly, and you'd get that audio feedback. You could then also copy that and paste it into anything you wanted, like an email. You could also download the Word document, download the BRF file, and have that embossed if you wanted more copies. And then we've also got on our learning tab, it's to sort of interactively teach you Braille. So if you're completely new to Braille, it would teach you the alphabet to begin with, sort of saying A is .1 and you would hit .1 and it would say correct. And then it will slowly introduce contractions and more complicated things and get you to use them in context.
Oh, I like this. I like this a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think this could be huge. This is such an intriguing way to do it.
Well, so I was talking to someone just the other day about this, someone who's been teaching Braille for a very long time, and she had made the point that the teaching of Braille hasn't really changed that much in the last sort of 20, 30 years, and it really does need a bit of an upgrade. I mean, those of us in the UK, and I don't know how widespread this is used, but the fingerprint course is really the only way to learn Braille in the UK. And, it's great, but, Bill and Jane and all of her friends, and Bill, frankly, is a horrible man.
Awful.
Who would be cancelled by today's society. We've got to move on from that, and it's funny because, of course, as soon as you say Bill and Jane to anybody, that's how you can pick out who's done the fingerprint course, right? Because you just know immediately, everyone laughs. But it's true because, it's such an old way of doing it. And a lot of kids especially find that really difficult to do. They find it hard to keep the attention. Whereas what you're saying, you're absolutely right. If you can bring technology into it, then all the better. I love the idea of using it as a teaching aid because I think you're right. I know we focus on children and we should, because I, for one, and I've said it many times on this show, believe that children need to be learning Braille, especially low vision children, not just those who are totally blind. But there are a lot of people like me, like Shaun, in later years, shall we say, who would quite happily learn Braille. But, if we can bring some tech into it and learn it at our own pace, that would be pretty cool. And this sounds like a cool way to do it. I mean, it seems like that for me would be just a reason alone to get this.
Yeah, and we've also, because I ordered the fingerprint course and I got the reams and reams of hard copy Braille, and it was sort of saying sort of volume 15 on page whatever. And it's like,
yes.
Yeah, it's a very manual process and very slow. we've also tried to do something a bit unusual, which is you would start writing first with the right dot combinations. And then what we do is we get you to read it back by touch and try and copy out what you've written. So you're actually generating your own hard copy resources as you go and practicing that kind of touch reading. But yeah, I mean, adult education is something that we're really interested in as well. We're kind of going for schools initially because they're the ones who we've had most traction with. But our dream is that we make this easy for any individual. So if you're sort of thinking, oh, I want to get started with Braille, this could be the product that could make that easier for you. And I know there's been phenomenal work being done with the Braillers Foundation, doing their kind of Braille for Beginners course and things, just trying to lower the barriers a little bit to getting started. So it's definitely something we're like 100%. That's our end goal, is to make this easy for everybody.
Yeah, Braillers Foundation in the UK has done an incredible job. Hadley in the US, of course. CNIB are promoting widely in Canada. So, it's great to see the resources coming around, but, it is getting access to the hardware. And, I think the key thing here is there may be those of us who have more access and more likely to get access to that kind of device. I remember calling up my social work services department and asking if they had any Perkins Braillers, and they said, oh, yeah, we've got one of those dusty old things lying in the cupboard.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes, that would be really useful, thank you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for me, actually, it was for someone else. But, the point was that someone else had access to it, but they just thought it was some dusty old piece of kit that should belong in a museum.
And it usually is. To be fair, every time you get one, it smells like it's just come out of the pyramids or something.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
So we're talking about access to this stuff, and you give some really good points there. What are we talking about price-wise? And is there a subscription for use of your web learning app?
No, so we any money that we make from our hardware, we can sync back into improving our software, and then we make that software freely available to everyone. And we're constantly open to feedback and suggestions of what people want us to add. So anyone can head to our website at paigebraille.com and access all of this, and they can also send us feedback and feature requests and things. In terms of the hardware, the way we've done it, because we hummed and hawed about how we were going to price the product, and I know the Smart Brailler is like $2,000 or something. It's quite an expensive piece of kit. And so we did it is we surveyed the local authorities who had been really keen on the product. And we did a thing called a price sensitivity meter. So you basically ask them, like, at what price would it be so cheap you would question the quality of the product? At what price would you consider it cheap? At what price expensive? And at what price so expensive that you wouldn't buy it? And then we sort of gathered all of these numbers and plotted them. And that's how we arrived at our pricing, which is £240 just for the hardware. And then you can retrofit that to any Perkins that you want. And then, so just one-time purchase, no subscriptions, just very simple.
No subscriptions, I'll take it.
That's a bargain in blind world.
Yeah, I know, these days, goodness me. And great price. So this is available in the UK, but is available around the world?
So currently we're selling through Sight and Sound technology in the UK. And we're looking at getting it out in other territories because we've had some interest from countries, and we're working on localizing our website to different languages, all of our user manuals to different languages. We're quite a small team, so we're having to do all of this ourselves. And we're also quite keen to see whether we could even localize our learning content and actually come up with little curriculums for other Braille codes and things. And we're also really keen to try and get the product out in the US at the moment as well. So there'll be news around that quite soon.
Amazing.
And how easy is it to fit the device yourself? You mentioned 11 screws. Is it something we can do without sight?
Hang on. Can I just say I am the king of DIY?
No.
So I would be brilliant at this. All I get, now, let me just get this right. I would get a hammer and smash the board onto the bottom of my Perkins, correct?
He's not joking.
It is, just 11 screws and then you're fine. And we've also done it so that it's just powered over a USB cable. So there's no batteries because we didn't want batteries that then wear out and you've got to recharge. So it's just USB. You can mains power it. You can power it with a battery pack, anything you like. And then it will connect wirelessly to any of your devices, just like any other Bluetooth keyboard.
That's interesting. I thought it was a wired keyboard. So it's not a wired keyboard. It's the wire is purely for charging.
Purely for power, and then you can connect it wirelessly to anything you like. And then the sensors shouldn't wear out if you fitted it correctly because it shouldn't actually be making contact with the levers. So it should be incredibly hard wearing. And if there's any problems, obviously get in touch with us and we'll fix it.
Because that's the only bit that makes me nervous, if I'm honest. Unscrewing anything from something that old, I always think, am I about to destroy this? But you're giving me the confidence here that as someone who's blind, I can do this myself?
I think you'd get more confidence if you saw the existing baseboard because it's just sort of a bit of cardboard. It's not doing anything structural. Right. It's just sort of there to cover it up, if you see what I mean.
Right, got you. Okay. Well, in that case then, let's Have at it with a screwdriver. Okay,
yeah,
fine.
we'll do it live. Stephen, you can do that live.
Let's do it. Let's do it live. Yeah, let's do a live unscrewing of a Perkins. What could possibly go wrong?
This is such an intriguing project and device. I think it's just such a cool use of technology. I think this could be massive. I'm just really well done. I think you've done a great thing here.
Yeah, that's an incredible idea. Well, listen, come back and tell us more about it. Tell us how you're getting on. Don't be a stranger here because we want to know all about this.
And when you make the incredibly inexpensive Braille cells, let us know.
We will.
Yes.
Keep you updated.
Greg, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thanks so much for having me.
What a really interesting guy, wasn't he? That's Greg Hargraves there from Paige, talking to us all about Paige Braille, which, as he says, is available from Sight and Sound Technology. They are going to be at Sight Village in London, so we'll be saying hello to them. And I might pick one of those up, I think.
Yeah, well, as I said, you've got to do it live. I want to see you attach it live on air. It's really cool that I came across a little bit gushy there, but I was really impressed by this.
It's hard not to be, though. I just, sometimes you get these products that come along, and how many times have we said it? Well-meaning sighted people come along with their ideas, and, it's like, you clearly haven't engaged with anybody, you haven't talked to people. This guy has. He has spoken to lots of people, and it was such an interesting story how they pivoted from the product they were making to this product just because of the feedback. The feedback was, look, you know what? This is exactly what we need. This is what we want. And
I want it now.
And the company were smart enough, and Greg was smart enough to say, that's what people want. Let's give them it. Rather than saying, no, we're not making that. We're making this instead, and just completely ignoring the feedback. Just fantastic. So, well done to Greg. Look forward to getting more on that and letting us know as well. I'm hoping he'll keep us up to date with international development as well and how that's going. Look, let's get a couple of emails in before we go because I want to mention Ronnie. You might remember Ronnie got in touch having some problems getting around, and it caused a little bit of hilarity here at Double Tap because we were imagining the idea of a harness, or I think your suggestion was a dog toy that
dog toy.
Ronnie
and
uses.
I was laughed out of the room, basically.
You were, yes, and rightly so. But Ronnie wants to respond to that.
Hey, I want to say thank you to Shaun. My husband wants to say thank you to Shaun. Sort of, kind of, almost. Anyways, I was looking for a suggestion as to how to keep me under control and in spots on crowd control. When Shaun suggested the dog toy, we kind of chuckled along with everybody else. But my daughter-in-law is a quilter, and she went to the basket, and by the end of the podcast, she had strips ripped and braided and tied into a knot as if they were tying a shoe, and it works perfect. I get to hold on to one hand of the bow, and somebody else holds on to the other hand of the bow. I don't get lost, and I can stay in line. Well,
there you go.
We'll leave that for a different topic. But anyways, my husband says thank you because now he doesn't have to attend the craft show at the end of the month, but he's also scared because he's not going to be able to control the credit card. So anyways, I think it's a winner, chicken dinner. Ciao.
Winner, chicken dinner. Absolutely. Well done, Ronnie.
I'm so happy. Right, I'll just wait here now. Stephen, is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, Dan got in touch on the subject of Night Manager. I thought we might want to talk about that. Thank you, Ronnie.
Night Manager. Hello, guys. I literally had a draft saved in my email that I was going to send you guys about this great Amazon Alexa skill. And then I heard Shaun give it a call out on Thursday's show. My player number is 211082, Luther Pendragon. Even if Steven does not like it, I think you guys could do a whole show just talking about Amazon games. And this one should be at the top of the list because you can do so much of it without having to pay for a premium version. Yes, you can pay real money to get diamonds in the game, but you do not need to. And another great thing about it is that the developers are very open to the users' community feedback. Or even games in general, and which apps you have found to be the most accessible. Thanks again, Dan Toth.
Thank you, Dan. A Night Manager, a Knight of the Realm.
Oh, very good. Well done. Yes, of course. Robin Christopherson does a dot-to-dot podcast every day, every day. And he does, well, not just games, but skills as well. But that's definitely worth a listen. So search for dot-to-dot.
We should get Robin back on. We should talk about this.
Will he come back on? I don't know. We'll see. We'll ask him.
Well, we can ask him. Why wouldn't he come back on? What do you know that I don't?
Well, you know, he, as you said, he is a lord, a knight of the realm.
No, I'm talking about Dan.
Oh yes, of course, Dan as well. Yes, I think Dan's beaten me many times in Night Manager. It is a great game to be serious for a minute.
Can't. I know, but I just can't get into it because I think it's my addictive personality. I'd want to trounce you all. I want to take over the kingdom.
Well, give it a go. We're nearly at the end of this season. Next season will start in a few days. Well, maybe 20 days or so you can start fresh with all of us.
Okay, I'll maybe give it a go. Maybe I'll come and join in and see what's involved in it.
Start a double tap night.
That's an idea. No, actually, do you know what? I want to be my own knight. I want to be my own man.
Wow, okay, fair enough. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, we should get some recommendations of other games. Anyone playing games on their Echo devices out there? I'm sure there's plenty to be trying out.
I don't know. I'm just sticking with Night Manager, I must admit.
Well,
yeah,
you know how to get in touch.
Recommendations, yeah.
All the usual ways, get in touch, and we will be back, of course, again tomorrow with more Apple news to see what they've announced today. We'll bring you that tomorrow, and of course, more of your feedback as well. Thanks a lot, and Shaun, get a good sleep tonight. Night, night.
I'll try to. Thank you.
Just look out for those critters.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Cookie! Nom 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 nom.